Welcome back to This Week in Indies. You know, it can be an emotional roller coaster to design a character's death, and from a craft standpoint, just as challenging to give it meaning. But equal or maybe even harder than that is designing who survives and why. Do we need them to survive to continue the story? Do we need the survival to become an obstacle or trauma to give new depth to our characters? Or do we just simply need to add a little guilt? We will discuss this and more with our roundtable discussion panel. Then, C.L. Cannon will be along with indie books you might enjoy if you're a fan of Mortal Engines by Philip Reeve. Finally, we nix the 5 minutes altogether and just go with straight-up torture for 10 questions with our panel. And it's that time of year to go on the march. We'll explain more and have your first prompts for you this morning. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, and get ready to talk about these things and more with your host for This Week in Indies, Joe Compton. Hello, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Indies. It's nice to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. As I lose my voice for a second. Weird. All right. But it's nice to be seen and heard and all those wonderful things. And thank you for being here. We do have a wonderful show for you today. And it's really highlighted by these awesome women. I'm so excited to have each and every one of them join me today. And we're going to be talking about saving lives. We're going to save some lives today, everybody. So, well, maybe we'll find out that it's just worth it to kill everybody. We'll have to see. But that being said, let's run around the room real quick and say hello. So, AJ, start us off.
Hi, I'm AJ Mulliken. I write mostly romance, paranormal, contemporary, sci-fi, whatever I can get my little grubby mitts on. And you can find me at ajmulliken.com, and my book's on Amazon, and it's great to be here.
Nice. Thank you for being here, Jessica.
I'm Jessica Nettles. I write historical fantasy and Southern Gothic horror, sometimes at the same time, I think. You can find me on several social medias and on jessicanettlesauthor.com. Come see me.
Yes, everybody go check it out. Children of Menlo Park, awesome book.
Thank you.
All right, Sarah.
Hi, I'm SG Tosh, but you can call me Sarah. I write comedy horror, paranormal fantasy, gothic urban fantasy, that sort of thing. And you can find me at sgtosh.com. That's where all my stuff is. Also available on Amazon, and you can get me on Facebook, Instagram, and I'm starting to go on TikTok a little bit more.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah. Well, I'll have to find you. I don't think we're friends there yet.
No, I don't think so. Not yet.
All right. Juliet.
Hey everyone, I'm Juliet Rose. I am the author of 10 novels. My 10th just came out on Friday. I write anything from contemporary fiction all the way to horror and kind of everything in between. Really, I just say I write what I like. And so that's what I write. You can find me at authorjulietrose.com, which has links to all of my social media and everything else.
Yes, I'm in the process of reading Dimming by the Light, and I will have a review sometime this week for sure. I'm trying to get through it. I'm trying to get through it. Yeah, that was a bad way. That was a bad way to say it. I'm really just off today, guys. So that's not what I meant. I'm enjoying it. I'm trying to get past my bad reading habits and do that. All right, I'm just gonna stop talking. Everybody's here. Hi, Tiffany. Nice to see you. A.F. Stewart's here. Andy's here. A.M. Engel. Jessica's breaking the fourth wall. And nice.
Thank you.
That's awesome. You've read it, huh, Jessica?
Yeah, I'm about halfway through it. I'm slow like you. I'm having to juggle grading and reading and writing my own stuff too. So I'm like, Okay, so the world is swirling around me, but it's so good. So yeah,
It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm about halfway too. I'm just
yeah.
about to hit the halfway point. So, um, all right. So let's talk a little bit about. Uh, let's start the conversation by why would we want to save a character? What are our major reasons for saving our characters?
The fans. Sometimes readers really love a character, so you want to keep them alive just because you get them to keep reading. Sometimes it's laziness. I have a character that I just saved last week because I realized I'd have to create a new character to take her place, and I just wasn't in the mood to do that. So she survived. Um, it just depends on, and also the story. Sometimes the characters need to pull the story along, and you kill them, and all of a sudden it's dead. The story, not just character.
Sometimes you need them for other things. I mean, they need to continue. If it's a longer story, they need to continue on because they're part of what's going to happen later on. I know that happens in my novel, Children of Menlo Park. Some people just need to keep going, and honestly, there are going to be some characters from that book that show up in the second Kate and Shadow novel, which I'm excited about. So, spoilers.
I think it's the same for me. I write so far. I've written pretty much all series books, so I'm very careful about who I choose to kill. And actually, unless there's a really good reason to kill someone, I err on the side of not killing them. Actually, I was doing my kill count earlier today just to think, because I'm notorious at not killing characters. And so I was going through all my books to see how many did I actually kill. And over 12 books and short stories that I've published or that are coming out so far, it's only 16. So barely one per book. So clearly I err on the side of unless I have a really good reason to kill him, unless they really deserve it. That's the other thing is justice has to be served by it. Otherwise it's just gratuitous. That's for me.
Yeah, I kill off at least a character in every book. But I also think you have to ask yourself the question of why are you attempting to kill off the character? Because that'll matter for why you choose to save them. Are you attempting to kill off the character because it's going to create something in the story you want to create? Is it going to mess with readers and you want them to really be dragged into that and suffer along with the character? And then you save them sometimes to give that reprieve. So I think it really depends on why you initially think about killing off the character to decide why you don't.
Notice that not a single person said because I really love that character and I wanted to save them. we just love to torture our characters to death or near death. I mean that's the thing, right? It's the great plot device. It is the opportunity to really see how far we can push things and see how much they can withstand, because it helps develop their arc and create tension and does a lot of things for the opportunity to move story forward. So in that sense, I'm wondering, how much do you think about why you're saving them and how much saving you're doing of them? Do you sometimes scale it back? Do you sometimes ramp it up? Do you feel like there's, because for you, Sarah, who writes series, do you feel like you save a little bit more because you want to have that for the next book or something to that effect? Or is it just a matter of feeling it out and whatever happens is going to happen?
So my first series, Dead Mall, I kind of had to save most of the characters most of the time because it's, a ensemble cast and it's, multiple books. And I knew that I had to keep most of them. I didn't have any red shirts just that I could kill. But I mean, there are characters to kind of compensate for that. I do put them in extreme peril. At the beginning of the first book, one character loses an eye and he's gone for multiple books. So I do take them out of commission and sort of kill them. Or for the second book, one character has a busted leg and she can't participate as much. So there's ways to kind of temporarily kill your characters and add more obstacles to them without actually taking them out of the story altogether. So that's kind of how I got around the save versus kill. I kind of did it by like, steps.
I think it kind of
Kill
depends
them
on
in small
what you're going for. Like, since I write mostly romance, I don't generally kill off a lot of main characters because that kind of kills the romance for a lot of people. But sometimes you gotta, you want to show that the stakes are higher, maybe. So maybe one character somewhere along the way does die, not necessarily the one you might expect, but sometimes it does happen, and so you got to kind of like weigh what kind of your genre is, what your story is, how it's all working together, and whether or not the character that you're wanting to save versus kill is essential to the future story, or whether maybe you can kind of sacrifice them in the sake of the bigger plot.
Right. And also, I think, I don't know, for me, there's a whole question of how do I define death? Because, I mean, I have a main character that she's dead, but she's not. She's ghost, so she's still working because she has the option to do so. And she's like, well, I want to continue working, and so this is what I'm doing. So death is, in my world, you have a choice. You can decide to move on, or you can hang out and continue doing what you're doing, and the world allows for that to some degree. So what is death? Yeah.
The great equalizer, right? What are you gonna do? Kill me? I'm already dead.
I mean, in my world, there are ways for people to die permanently.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to explore that a little bit in the second book. There are ways to kill off my main character. It's kind of difficult, though. And it's very specialized.
You do sprinkle a little bit of that in the first book a little bit. There's a spot where there's that tinge to it, but
yeah, and so at least my series, the idea of death is a little bit bent. and so my approach to it is a little different. In my other stories, I don't have that. When people die, they die. They get eaten by things and fed to things like that.
Nice. How about for you, Juliet?
Yeah, so when I go into it, I think I usually know if I'm going to kill off character. Like, that's part of the plot. So, like, because I want to use their death to build off of the other characters' experiences or how the story moves forward. There was only one time where I was actually planning to kill off character, and I didn't, and simply because as I got to that point in the story, he became too important to the existing plot to kill him off, so that I chose not to. I put him through stuff, but I didn't kill him off.
And Andy says that I agree. The reader will want justification not only for a death but for a survival. And he says it had a character in War Angel, which is one of his books, whose death took me off guard. I was shocked and upset. I still wanted to write about them, and I did in memories and such, which helped in other characters process loss. That's the key too, right? Is not characters aren't always dead, right? And not
dead yet.
You can bring back memories and stuff like that, and that also enhances the people who survive, right? The guilt, we talk about survivor's guilt, we talk about their memories of them and them, just breaking down. I mean, suffering through grief is a process, and that process is something that can be explored in a book pretty easily, and because it's a human experience and we all experience it. So, it's something that I think is effective because of that reason, right? So keeping them alive is something that will enhance that for you. And it gives them depth too, right? So, the funny thing I find about keeping a character alive too is that almost certainly at some point you have to lean into a trope. That where and not necessarily a nice trope or a good trope, or and I'm curious how much you guys think about, if I don't kill this person, or if I keep them alive, I'm really going to be heading into this trope if I do that. Has that crossed your mind? Is that something you've thought about before?
Sometimes, because sometimes them surviving makes things so much worse for them than if they died and whatever happened, because it just means more stuff can pile up on them, and worse things can keep happening. Because sometimes death is a release for the character rather than a punishment, So it just depends on the story and what the character's got to go through if they do survive. Sometimes that's worse than getting killed off.
I, at this point, I guess I'm kind of, one of my things is with villains specifically, I'm a big fan of the fate worse than death, which can sometimes lead into like guilt for the main character too. Like they're still suffering and the main character for some reason feels an affinity for them. And it's like, oh, I should have just taken them out when I did. So that, I guess that's something that I tend to lean into. And I don't have any problems with that, because I do write serial, and these villains that survive, they come back, and we get to see them be miserable for longer.
I don't know. I was going to say, for me, like, I really don't think about, I guess, the trope side of it. I really just think about what that character's death will mean to like the rest of the story and how that story will play out. Or whether it'll change or the character's not death. So if they survive, why are they surviving? How will that affect the plot? Is it important to the story? Other than that, I really don't think kind of beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much the same. I was sitting here thinking, it's like, I think the last time I really had an inner argument about whether or not a character was gonna die was maybe a werewolf story that I wrote last year. It's in the anthology Lonely Hollows, and my main character's a werewolf, and I wasn't sure if he was going to survive the night or not, and because he was going to end up killing somebody, and I was like, well, maybe I should have him die. And then I'm like, no, and I went back and forth, and I decided that him escaping was kind of crucial, and coming out alive was kind of crucial. And I don't know. I don't often think too much of tropes in that kind of way. Oftentimes, if I'm thinking of tropes, it's because I'm turning something over on its head. So, like with my werewolf story, I'm kind of turning some of the werewolf stuff and the folk horror stuff surrounding that on its head. I did some things with the story that turns all of that on its head. So the death part of it really didn't play into that too much. Other than wondering if I should kill off that main character or let him just go ahead and escape. And I ended up not killing him, which was for the best, I think.
Interesting. A.L. Mango says, my characters rarely die since I write about immortals, angels, demons, and ghosts. Yeah, that's the other thing, right? We're not always writing about human beings, and other entities have ways of surviving a lot longer or not dying. And does that help a little bit? Is not making them human a little bit? Is that kind of something you can lean on a little bit too? And when you think about, who's going to survive?
Well, that plot armor of they've got X magical ability, they can heal, so they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Their heart got ripped out and their head got ripped off, but they're fine. Just boo and there you go.
Yeah. Sometimes I still think there has to be a possibility. I mean, even with my main character and children, there's that possibility of not coming back. And I think that's something, because that's something that's so relevant for all of us, it makes her more accessible. If she's just a ghost and she can't die, and it makes her so overpowered, I think, that then she's not afraid to do anything. And I mean, she's fearless, and I love that about Kate. but she also is beginning to realize limitations too. And I think that's important for any character. There has to be a limitation to how far that's going to go. So she knows that there's a point where, maybe I can really die.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I one of my favorite series of all time in comic books is Secret Wars, and watching how they deal with Beyonder and the idea of this immortal being, and this omnipotent soul that's out there creating chaos. It was very interesting to me to see that they could deal that, that kept me in the series,
Mm-hmm.
because at some point you just go, well, this thing can do whatever it wants, and it is basically doing that, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, somebody's got to do something,
Right,
They
exactly.
don't, I mean,
I was just saying, it makes me think of that. You guys have watched 30 Rock, and there's the episode where the writers are all playing the video game, but they can't be killed. They just keep respawning. And they do this for like 3 months. That's what I think of. Like, there has to be an investment for the reader where there is a possibility of the character dying. Otherwise, they're just like, yeah, what's the point? Like, they're just going to come back anyway. So you write all of that for no reason if there isn't the possibility that they could not come back.
Yeah, sometimes you have to kill off a different character to make the main character's survival more plausible.
Right.
Like, or make it more important to the story. Because if they can't die, it's the drama that you want. But if you kill someone adjacent and show that it's possible that the main character could have died, if you make the reader doubt that the main character could survive even for a little bit, that pulls more drama into the story than if they survive everything without a scratch, no problem.
Right.
It's the reason I don't like cheat codes, because I mean, why part of the fun is like being frustrated by dying 65,000 times,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
and being the one who figures it out.
And you want your readers to feel that frustration. You want them to feel like, oh, everybody's just dying. Like, you want them to feel like, they have no control over that character's survival. Only you do with your magic pen. So
Right.
It's oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jessica.
Yeah, and I feel that way about role playing games too. When you come in with an OP character, what's the point? I want to come in with somebody that is probably going to get their butts kicked, which is why when you watch me on one of the gaming shows, I'm usually the one that's sprawled out on the floor and everybody's standing over me. I'm the first one to go because I'm the first one to run into the fight, and I'm usually the smallest and the least powerful. And so I get clocked and everybody stands over me.
Yeah, if you spoiler alert for everybody, but if you watch the last episode of Hit the Dice, you'll see Jessica take a big fall.
Yeah. Pretty normal. I'm used to it.
Did you have anything to add to that, Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, as someone who doesn't kill characters all that regularly, I would argue that you can accomplish the same thing without needing to kill someone simply by inflicting massive injury, which is what I do in Dead Mall mostly, because the villains in that, the heroes are all human, and the villains are all, evil dead, like zombie undead monsters who keep coming back night after night. So obviously people are going to get chewed up and all of that. But they have limitations that the bad guys have limitations that they're not completely just mowing through these guys. But I mean, they do get pretty severely injured quite often in the book.
It becomes like that thing. It's kind of ironic because, like, in killing, in like murder mysteries, it becomes that thing like, oh, it was that character in page one that you had like one page that turns out to be the murderer, right? And because we just want to fool everybody and the irony is you can do the same thing with saving a character in that, oh, didn't you realize that person had a magic spell that could just save their life and bring them back to life? And wow, okay. I guess I missed that one paragraph in the prologue that gave us the opportunity to to understand that, So I think you can lean on both of those things and really frustrate a reader in that respect, I think.
And sometimes saving a character frustrates the reader,
because
there's the gratuitous saving of characters. And I've seen, movies where you're like, it would have been the perfect movie if they just let the character die, but nope, they got to be saved and have a happy ending. And, but it would have been a better story had they not. So I really think you have to judge saving a character if you're just doing it gratuitously, because maybe you want to put them in another book, or you don't want the readers to be upset, but maybe the story would be better if you off them.
Jessica says doing the first period murder thing is lazy writing, and then Andy says I like page twists. I like page twists too, but they gotta make sense,
Yeah.
And like Jessica says here, you can't, the whole idea is I just feel like sometimes people want to be smarter than everybody else, and they think that's the way to do it, and it's not.
Yeah.
The best plot twists are the ones that you can go back and look at and go, interesting how they did that, and the clues were all there and lined up for you, and the way that they subtly just you miss them. I did that with The Sixth Sense. I went back, and everything that happened in that movie was very logical in how it happened, and it was very, and I thought that was incredible writing, because that just shows you. I mean, he hasn't repeated that since. There's a lot of movies where M. Night Shyamalan doesn't make any sense as to why this is happening. Village.
Yeah, right. My exact thought.
That one was predictable.
But otherwise,
I think the concept of that was really good. I think his execution was poor.
I
Well,
agree.
the twist was just kind of disappointing.
I just think the monsters should have been monsters.
Yeah,
That was like, why couldn't they just been monsters in the woods? That would have been so much better.
That would have been a twist. It's like, oh, actually, it's all real.
Yeah.
Or when she gets on the freeway, the cops turn out to be the monsters, like they're actual monsters.
Yeah, if it was like
that's what I would have
world
done.
where there was monsters.
Oh yeah. I mean, there was a cataclysm outside the village. Okay, let's go for it. Let's make it bad.
Mm-hmm.
There was just you just miss the mark sometimes, and it happens. We all do it. We all miss the mark, and I mean, I'm not shitting on M. Night Shyamalan. Well, I am kind of, but I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to say that. To me personally, The Sixth Sense is the greatest script I've ever read. So I absolutely read a lot of scripts, and that to me was just flawless. It's the thing I aim for when I write. So there you go, M. Night Shyamalan. I give you an incredible compliment. So, do better, Night.
I did actually like Unbreakable.
I love Unbreakable.
It's so good. That twist actually does.
That's a good one.
That works. Yeah,
it works very well.
Unfortunately, they shit on that too with the subsequent sequels and prequels, and
I didn't even bother. I'm just like, I'm gonna pretend this was it and just conveniently forget everything else that happened later.
But yeah, I did enjoy that, and there's a couple of the other ones I've enjoyed too. It's not just, but The Village was just like, what the fuck, So I mean, along those lines too. I mean, talking to kind of bring it back full circle, ramifications is important, right? And what justifies saving a character, and then what justifies the after effects of saving that character. So how much of that are you building up front? How much of that are you constructing around the saving? And how much of it do you want to put after? Is there a healthy balance that you've found in all of that? Trying to, because you have to set it up, you have to execute it, and then you have to have what's the aftermath of that execution, right? So is all of that something that you construct?
I'm a pantser. Mine kind of like surprise happens with me when it happens for the reader. Like when the surprising thing happens, the person gets saved or dies or whatever. It's like, wow, I didn't know that was going to happen either. So it kind of the twist kind of catches me off guard, and then I find that I've written in stuff about it already, and I'm like, well, I guess I set that up well. I don't realize I'm doing it half the time until it happens. I'm like, well, this worked out nicely.
Yeah, I pants too, so a lot of it is just following the characters and seeing what they're gonna do and how they're gonna react, and, I mean, sometimes I have a general idea. I know somebody's gonna die,
Mm.
okay, and then I kind of I know what the characters kind of already are, they have stuff going on inside of them already. So, that gives me a sense of how everybody's gonna respond. So, for instance, in one of my stories, and she was the main character, she ends up dying, because she's fed to some alligator people. Um, and so there's her response, there's her husband's response, there's the church people's response, and everybody has and I just kind of followed everybody around to see what was going to happen.
Mm.
And I kind of sort of knew because I knew what their places were inside that community and inside that moment. I went from there.
Nice. Sarah, Juliet, you.
I'm also a pantser, so I don't really know what's going to happen by the end. Typically, I follow the method of, is it just to have someone die, and it's usually the villains, and is what they have done bad enough to warrant a death. And then if I have chosen wrong, my beta readers usually catch it. So they'll tell me, you didn't.
They're the best for that.
This needs to go, or that seems a bit much. So that's typically how I handle that aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I go in knowing, like I said, sometimes I have a story idea, so I'll know that a character, like in my latest one, I know a character is going to die because that's important to tell the story. But like I said, there's times where I think I'm going to kill off a character, and then when I get to that point, my first question is, would that make sense to the betterment of the story? If it doesn't make sense, then you change gears. Sometimes I'm not planning to kill off a character, and I realize as I'm getting there, it would make sense to kill them off because it would better the story. So I think that's really what I ask myself when I get to that point.
You know what I ask myself when I'm looking for reading material? I ask myself, hey, we have this thing called the Indie Connection. What is CL Cannon got in store for us this week? And what are the ramifications of me spending more money to buy more books? Because I just love the idea of these books are based on this. And today we have the Mortal Engines for you. So enjoy this Indie Connection, and we'll be right back right after that.
Hey guys, CL Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another Indie Connection. Today I'd like to tell you about some indie books that you might enjoy if you're a fan of the Mortal Engines series by Philip Reeve. The first book I have for you is called The Dream Engine by Sean Platt and Johnny B. Tarrant. What is real, Ela? When Ela Doyle first hears the strange boy calling from somewhere deep in her sleep, she begins to question her sanity. In the gleaming steampunk world of Waldron's Gate, citizens aren't meant to dream, and those who eschew their daily crumble and dare to do so anyway face madness and imprisonment in Joffrey Columns, the Asylum of Towers. And yet dreaming of a very specific sort is what Elia does every day at the Ministry of Manifestation with her mind hooked to the great engine called the Blunderbuss. She's accustomed to using her thoughts to build all the city needs, but never before have her thoughts been so dark, so laced with demons and shadows. Now those nighttime visions hint at dark conspiracy, a millennium of lies, and a fathomless secret hiding beneath the quiet streets. As Elia follows the boy down the rabbit hole, she discovers secrets that were meant to remain hidden. She discovers an unknown cast of underlings, an unknown place underneath the city, and she learns of her terrible destiny as her own dreams and reality blur, as what is real becomes something uncertain. The second book I have for you is called The Windwalker by Simon Shigar. In the treacherous city of Crater, young Zephyr dreams of escaping his fate as a breaker boy, a child laborer in the mines. Desperate for freedom, he turns to the Thieves Guild, hoping to earn enough coin to buy his way out. But in a city rife with corruption, Zephyr's path to independence is far from easy. Captain Bacchus and his eccentric crew of sky pirates are on a high-stakes mission to recover a stolen treasure, a legacy that holds the fate of a kingdom. Enticed by the promise of a reward 50 times their usual rate, they must infiltrate the city of Crater, a daunting task with countless obstacles. As their paths collide, Zephyr and Captain Bacchus find themselves at a crossroads. Can they forge an alliance and overcome the challenges before them? Or will Zephyr's dreams of freedom be forever crushed? The third book I have for you is called Blind Maneuvers by Shauna E. Black. The Carpathia's captain has a price on his head. The last place First Mate Braid wants to go is flying into the heart of the Tarian Empire that wants the ship and its young crew dead or alive. Yet when news of Captain Xanthi's lost sister comes to light, that's precisely where the captain charts their course. This time Xanthi's magic voice might not be enough to save them, but Braid wants to follow his captain anywhere. Aveline's plans after graduating from the Empire's most prestigious academy include escaping the tyranny of the academy's director. They do not include being kidnapped by the most notorious outlaw in the Empire and his dashing first mate. When she rescues a crew member and is accepted as one of them, Aveline must decide if she has the guts to betray them all, just to save herself. And the last book I have for you is called Iron Blood by C.H. Knight. Magic and iron don't mix. The balance between humans and fae is tentative, but in a new era of dragon-enforced peace comes progress. Progress, success, is what Ezekiel strives for. Human through and through, his magic is of heated steel, the solid strike of his hammer, the rumble of a new engine. With unwavering determination, Ezekiel aims to claim the coveted prize at the upcoming expo, showcasing his groundbreaking creation, the Crawler, and forge a name worthy of respect and Miss Baba's affections. Yet a sinister malevolence hunts from the shadows, leaving death in its wake. When tragedy strikes, Ezekiel finds himself ensnared in conflict, compelled to shield his family, even from themselves, and unearth the source behind the eerie deaths before they are plunged into chaos. In a world where magic and machines clash, Ezekiel navigates a treacherous path through the darkness, where the stakes are higher than ever, and the future of his loved ones and his home hangs in the balance. Okay, that's all for me this week. I'll see you next week on the Indie Connection. Bye!
And as always, another great indie connection from the awesome CL Cannon. And Jessica put it bluntly, spend more money, Joe. We like that. So I like it too. It'll take me 20 years to read all these books, but I will get to them eventually. I promise you that. There was an interesting comment that Tiffany left just before we left off, and it's kind of how I wanted to finish up the conversation too. So it was kind of cool that was Kismet. And she goes, I know going in which character I want to kill, but as the story goes, it changes. So I'm wondering if you all can take me through the process of deciding to save the character. And for you, I know it's your discovery writer, so you're discovering it. But when you look back at it and you start editing it and you're putting it together, is there certain something that has to be there for you for the opportunity to save the character? Do you feel like something maybe in the story, other characters involved, future books? Is there something that you lean on that will help you justify saving the character? And also, I'm curious if you've ever struggled with, we've talked about sometimes, saving the character is not the right move. Sometimes the beta readers have told us, no, kill this fucker and kill him now, but have you struggled with that personally in the writing process? Is there a time when you've struggled with, should I kill this person or should I keep them alive? I know I just threw a shit ton of questions at you. I apologize.
I can try to answer some of that. The last part, did I struggle with that? I actually had to deal with that really recently. There was a character in a book that I had plans for in a future book. And one of my beta readers said, no, what he's done is too awful. He needs to go now or it's going to feel uneven. And I did struggle with that because it meant I had to change what I was going to do down the road. And I don't know that I want to say what I did. But it did change. It did change what I meant. Well, I guess that kind of gives it away. I ended up killing him because I'd sort of been debating whether or not it was a good thing for the existing story to leave him alive. And once I got that comment, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to deal with later on down the road later, and because I have to deal with this now.
You didn't have to tell us you killed him.
I'm not gonna tell you which book.
Most of the time with my short stories, if I decide somebody is dying, it's pretty clear. It's pretty much, okay, that's going to be like part of the main part of the story. So I don't change. It doesn't change because then it's going to wreck the story. With the werewolf story, the only reason I had trouble with that is because it was like there's a fight, and I'm like, well, who's going to win? And so I had to decide who was going to win. But generally speaking, with short stories especially, if somebody's going to die, they're going to die. And there's nothing I can do about it. They're going to die. In the book, I don't know that. I'm trying to think if there was anybody that I had any concerns about dying or not. Not really. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe that eventually come up, but I don't really struggle with it. If somebody's going to die in one of my horror pieces, they're going to die.
Yeah, I take emotion out of that aspect of it. I mean, I've definitely killed off characters and then cried about it because I really loved the character, but that was what needed to happen for the plot. And I think every time I come up to a character's death, that's always the question is killing them going to make the plot better? Is saving them going to make the plot better? And that's simply what I look at. And then if killing them makes the plot better, then they die. If it doesn't, then I might save them.
Right. And I've killed characters that I absolutely, positively adore. Yep. There's a story coming out in the Jordan Con anthology this year. And the character who dies in that story, I love him so much. I do. I love him with all my heart. But he's going to die. He just is. Well, sort of. Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it is a struggle because sometimes if you relate to the character, but the character, is at risk due to whatever happened in the story, you got to kind of think, do I want to save this character because it's better for the story if they get saved, or will the death better serve the story? And, even if you relate to them or you really like the character, you got to kind of weigh it, because it's like, well, this character's a lot like me. Do I really want to kill me off, And then you're like, no, wait, it's not me though. It's the character. So you gotta kind of work with it and stuff.
Okay, so
I was reading your questions, Joe.
Oh yeah. Don't pay no mind to that right now. Just keep it in the back of your head. But I just sent everybody in private chat a question that I'm going to be asking them in a little bit. But actually, it's two questions, but it's really anyway. But for anybody who's playing inside baseball out there, that's what I just did. That's what we're talking about. But the last thing I want to ask all of you is, what is easier for you? Is saving a character easier or killing them easier? I'm curious.
Killing.
I think it depends on what I initially intended. If I initially intended to kill them and then I save them, it's harder because then I have to rewrite what I thought was going to go one way becomes a different direction. Killing's obviously hard if you're attached to the characters. I mean, sometimes you love to kill a character because they just stink. You're just like, I need to get rid of them. But I think when you love a character, it's always tough in that aspect. However, I think it's tougher to save a character if you didn't intend on saving the character. Because then you have to readjust everything.
And sometimes it's tough because you don't like the character, but the readers do. So you're like, well, this is what the public wants. So let's just save them for now, even though I want to get rid of them. I'm tired of writing them, but you got to kind of go with what they want too sometimes. So
to get to that point.
Awesome. How about for you, Sarah? I would assume saving a character, since that's what you do all the time. Is that easier for you?
I mean, I do it all the time, but I wouldn't necessarily call it easy. I mean, I guess I kind of split this between saving the heroes and saving the villains. Saving the heroes, yeah, that's easy because I want to keep them alive, and in some cases, I have to keep them alive because the series can't continue without them. As you know, even maimed and lost body parts and things, they're still there, so I can keep the books going. Villains, it's easier to kill them because that's just very neat. You know, they're bad, they're dead, the end. But again, I try to go with a sense of justice, and also if I really want to keep them around to continue, you know, making them pay for what they've done, or to add guilt to a main character, that makes it a little bit more complicated when I keep them alive.
All right. So I promise I'm going to keep you all alive for 10 questions, but I am going to torture the shit out of you for these 10 questions. So I'm going to give you guys a chance to breathe and prepare. We have killed the clock, so the clock is dead. So you don't have any timer on you. You could, I mean, I would ask you to be as, brevity laden as you can possibly be, or at least, quick on answering. You can pontificate if you'd like, but, I don't want to be here for another hour answering 10 questions, but, I respect your space, and obviously you haven't seen a lot of these questions, so this is going to be the first time you've absorbed them, and I'm going to give you opportunity to do that. I'm also going to give you opportunity to breathe right now, but before we do that, let's go around the room and tell everybody where they can find you and where they can find what you're doing, and if you got something new out there, tell everybody a little bit about that. So Juliet, why don't you start us off? We'll go the opposite direction. And so Juliet, start us off and tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me at authorjulietrose.com. We actually just branched out our publishing. So we also have abovetheringcollective.com, where we are putting out an anthology of 14 authors later this year. So that's a good spot too. And then my books are both there and then at authorjulietrose.com. And my newest book just came out on Friday. It's called By the Dimming Light, and it's like horror adjacent cryptid-esque. That's the best way I can put it.
Nice. All right, Sarah?
Like I said, you can find everything about me, socials, book sales, all of it, blog at my website, sgtosh.com. As far as new stuff, my Death by Misadventure series, which has about 3,000% more kills than my previous series. Well, that's a rough estimate, 3,000%. But it does have more because of the title, Death. That's ongoing. The next book in that series comes out April 9th. The ebook is available for pre-order now. And the third one will be out in September.
All right, awesome. Jessica?
You can find me at jessicanettlesauthor.com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram, and probably a few other places that I don't remember right now. You can also find me on Amazon if you want to buy books. Do that. I would love that. The next thing that's coming out for me is in the Jordan Con anthology, a little story called Cancer at 0 Degrees. I'm really proud of this one. That's all I have to say. I'm not going to give you any more hints about it. I'm just really proud of this one. It comes out in April. Yes, I think. And it will be at JordanCon. So if you're at JordanCon, pick up one. It goes for a good cause and lots of good authors, and yay.
Yep, I definitely will be grabbing a copy. All right. AJ?
I'm AJ Mulliken. You can find me at ajmulliken.com, which is right. One of these places. There we go. I'll eventually figure it out one of these days, like before my last show or something. And you can also find me on Amazon. I have a new book out today. It's kind of new old. It's an Omni version of my Bargain Struck books. It's all 3 Bargain Struck books from the Nowhere series, or the Nowhere World, all in one collection. And that is on ebook right now and Kindle Unlimited. Will be on paperback when it goes through, because Amazon's still reviewing it.
Awesome. All right, and I'm Joe Compton. This is Going Now. Congratulations, you found us. Stay a little while and enjoy what we're doing out here. We've got a lot of great stuff coming up. In fact, tomorrow night, I sit down one-on-one with the awesome Ariel Dawn and do a 21 grams episode with her. We're going to talk about romance and all the things involved that she's involved in, and it's going to be a wonderful conversation. And then she'll take the questionnaire, and we'll have a lot of fun there. So come check that out. And then this Friday, we are doing late night news. Vanessa Junta, who's in the chat, and myself will be there, and we'll be joined by a special guest. That name will be hidden for now, but that person is joining our team and setting off on a new adventure to create a new show for us and put it out there. And we're really super excited to have them aboard. And you'll get to meet them and hear the announcement of the brand new show and what it's about and how you all can be a part of it if you want it to be. I know a lot of you out there are looking to opportunities to be more seen here, and this is going to be one of those, and it's going to be a really, really great opportunity for you. So tune in on Friday for that announcement, and the person will be joining us live to talk a little bit about the show and say hello. And we do got some news out to talk about as well. So everybody get ready for that. Now, as I was mentioning, we have killed the 5-minute clock. We're just going to ask 10 questions of my panel. I have given the panel in the private chat, hint, hint, if you haven't seen it already, panel, the first 2 questions. So think about those for a second. I'm going to give you a chance to mull them over. And while I talk about the incredible, incredible opportunity that you all have out there. This is called March of the Writers. I mean, we've been promoting this since we can promote it, since Going Now has been a thing, and this show's been a thing, and JD's been a thing for us, and JD's been a part of our family. JD Estrada created this wonderful, wonderful exercise. It is 30, does March have 31 or 30 days in it? I don't remember. I think it has 31 days. But it's 31 prompts, basically, or 30 prompts, whichever March has. Every single day, something new that you can do. And you don't have to do all of them all at once. Some people do that. A.L. Mengel's a real big March of the Writers person out there. In fact, go check out Andy's trailer. He made a trailer for his adventure to March of the Writers. I'll put the link in the description for you so you can go check that out. It's a really fun trailer. But this year, 2024, we're getting close. Friday is March 1st, everybody. So the prompts are there. You can take part in them any way you feel fit. You could do video, you could do audio, you could do visual. A lot of people tend to do this on Instagram when they'll do visuals on there, Facebook. Utilize your social media, utilize the tags that are there. Hashtag March of the Writers, hashtag MOTW, hashtag MOTW 2024, and answer the prompts. They will be on JD's blog. And then we will also, each week here, as March goes through, we will be presenting you with the prompts of that week. So we'll be doing that again as we did last year. So I'm real excited about that. So you'll get all the prompts for that week. So you'll know ahead of time how to participate and what it is that you're going to be participating in. So Vanessa says, where are the prompts located? Like which social media? You can utilize any social media you want for the prompts that you're going to be putting in there. But as far as where they'll be located, JD Estrada's blog, it's JD Estrada Writer .blogspot.com. And you can go there and he will have them up. I don't know if he has them up yet. And I don't have the first prompts for this week. So you're just going to have to go to his website and figure it out. But that's where it can go. Yes, I will have that in the description. Vanessa asked if I could put his blog in the description. Yes, I will. But that's so that you can participate. And again, we all aim to participate all 31 days. Very few of us make it through that. So it's not really about that. All it's really about is engaging your audience and having opportunity to figure out which prompts you want to do, and which maybe you find one that you gravitate toward, or however you feel fit to do that. But it's a wonderful, wonderful exercise. It's something that we promote heavily here. And like I said, you'll have your prompts here every week if you'd like them. And with that being said, it's time to torture my guests. And we have 10 questions for everybody. So let's get started. Same principle as the 5-minute drill. I'm just going to go down the line. So AJ, I'm going to start with you, then Jessica, then Sarah, then Juliet, and then I'll snake it back the other way. So Juliet, you're going to answer both questions first, in unison. So or in consecutive order, I guess. And so the first question I have for everybody is, if you were given the opportunity to right a wrong and change a character's fate from a book or a movie that you saw, who would you save? AJ?
From a book, I would probably save Triss in Insurgent, or whichever one that was. Anyway, that's a spoiler, but I would save the main character because I didn't like the way it ended. I thought it was a terrible cop-out ending. I thought it could have been done a lot better. I would definitely have done it differently if it had been me.
Okay. Jessica?
Okay, I picked a movie and it's controversial, so y'all can hate me if you want to. I picked Attack of the Clones and Padme Amidala. I am forever pissed that she is dead. She should not have died. That was stupid. It was the stupidest death of all time. There's no reason why she should have died of a broken heart, because that was stupid. Because she never would have done that. She would have kicked his ass and fed that lightsaber to him the wrong way. And she would have had those babies by herself, and that would have been the end of Darth Vader and everything.
Okay, can I make one slight correction to your statement, because I don't want Star Wars fans to at me. It was actually Revenge of the Sith, not Attack of the Clones.
Oh, okay. I looked it up and I looked at the wrong one. That's my fault. I'm sorry. Don't blame Joe.
No. I'm saving you from a lot of grief of like 45 fucking people putting in the comments. It's not Attack of the Clones. It's not Attack of the Clones.
Stop it. Shut up. I looked it up. I was scrambling and could not remember. I've seen the movie, guys, so don't. But yeah, I'm forever.
Yes, everybody just be quiet.
Yeah.
Sarah?
So there are very few books that make me cry, but one of them where I was crying like 200 pages, like the last 200 pages, was the Dark Tower series. So I have to pick which one I would save. I can't remember if it was Eddie who made me cry so bad, or Oi the lemur cat. I think it was the cat, so the little animal familiar. So I'm going to save Oi from the Dark Tower.
I threw the book after Eddie died.
Oh my God.
I was so mad. I got mad again. I'm like, yeah.
I know. And then it just keeps getting worse.
Juliet?
Okay, so mine's probably for a different reason, but and it's my favorite, one of my favorite books. But in A Monster Calls, I don't know if you guys know that book, and movie, so it's both. His mother dies at the end, but it's a really important part of the story because it's how he learns to deal with his grief. But still, I don't want to see a kid's mother die, so I would save her.
All right. So now here comes the torturous part. You have saved these characters. Now somebody else in the series has to die in their place. So who are you killing in their place, Juliet?
So I'm probably going to get darts thrown at me for this, but I'll kill the dog.
Sarah?
That's rough. I'm just gonna kill the love interest, probably. Nothing compared to the dog. Wow. Didn't even occur to me.
I already said who I was gonna kill, so
I would probably kill the love.
Everybody can hear it, because I think we got lost in my rant about Star Wars.
So I said that Anakin should die.
There you go.
That's it. He should just die.
Speaking of darts.
Yeah.
AJ?
I would kill the love interest. I thought the main character should have stayed and the love interest should.
All right. So now, question number 3, AJ, is the character of yours that garnered the most sympathy while torturing them, but didn't necessarily mean you stopped torturing them. From your
That would probably, in one of my books, probably would have been Harper from Abnormal, because I know a lot of people were not happy with what happened to her in that.
Nice. Jessica?
The most sympathy. Well, I felt really sorry for the lady who the alligator people ate. I felt bad for her because she was truly a victim. She really didn't know what the hell was going on until it was way too late, and I felt bad for
Nice.
her. So yeah.
All right, Sarah?
Is the question who I feel the worst for, or who other people?
Either way, you can do readers too. I don't care. Either one.
Okay. I think the person that I've felt the worst for was in Deadmall, Carrie's mom, because she goes through a lot, and it's probably really unfair what happens to her. And then so far in Death by Misadventure, Jake, the sort of secondary love interest, has gotten the most sympathy from everyone who's read it so far.
And are you saying somebody that we have sympathy for that we killed or that we didn't kill?
Didn't kill, that you've tortured, but you kept them alive.
Yeah, I would probably say Micah and Trigger Point.
All right. So, Juliet, your favorite hero or rescue scene in a book or movie?
Ooh. You know, I'm gonna have to go back to A Monster Calls when his mother dies and the monster's there for him. I bawl every time. That is such a powerful scene.
It's pretty good. Sarah?
So the first thing that's coming to mind for me is at the end of Lord of the Rings, Samwise saving Frodo on the mountain.
Yeah. Let's see. It's hard because there's so many good ones. I'm kind of leaning towards Samwise too, because
that's fine.
That's like my favorite friendship of all. I mean, Samwise is the man. He's the man. Honestly, you know.
Even though I wouldn't have blamed him if he kicked Frodo right into the fire pit for
by all rights he should have.
Just like slowly backed away, like
just like dude, do what you need. But no, he was a good friend, and and he's a good guy.
And survived, which
is
surprising actually.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
AJ?
I'm going to be egotistical and say the rescue in book 2 of Abnormal, the Escaping the Light. I liked that rescue scene. I'm not going to spoil who did the rescuing, but it was a pretty cool scene.
Nice. Awesome. All right. So we're going to do a version of F, Marry, Kill. You're going to have to save a trope, kill a trope, and bury a trope of these three. So think about which trope you're going to save, which trope you're going to kill, and which trope you're just going to bury and never have it come back. The 3 tropes you have to choose from are fridging, damsel in distress, and overly strong women.
Okay. Repeat that first one.
Right.
Fridging. When you guys don't know what fridging is? No. So when the villain kills the love interest of a character and it sets the character off into a revenge.
Oh, okay.
They call it fridging because it happened in, I think it's Green Lantern or one of those comic books.
Okay.
And they actually found it may have been Deadpool where she actually finds them in the fridge. They put the character in the love interest in the fridge.
Okay.
So
fridging,
damsel in distress, and overly strong women. You know, just like women that are like men. You know.
Yeah. Save damsel in distress. Probably kill fridging and just bury the overly strong woman because that's kind of annoying sometimes.
All right. Jessica?
I would probably kill damsel in distress. It always bothers me. And probably, I don't know, bury villain kills love interest and keep overly strong woman, or vice versa. I can't decide which.
Okay.
Because I like strong women, but I also don't like that whole superwoman can kick everything's ass thing either. There has to be a balance.
Sarah?
So I would save fridging because I think it's useful, if maybe overdone. I would bury damsel in distress because again, I think it's overdone, and I would kill overly strong women just because I think it lacks nuance. And I was taking notes, so I worked it all out.
Nice. Juliet?
I'm a child of the 70s, so I would kill Fridging because that was in every freaking movie in the 70s. Like Death Wish,
Every series too.
everything. I would bury damsel in distress, and I would save overly strong women, probably because I think I am one. So,
Awesome. All right. So Juliet, your favorite female character that has survived everything they've done so far?
in anything?
Yeah, book, movies, yours. I don't care.
Oh my goodness.
Just one that's been that's still alive because no matter how many movies or how much torture they've gone through.
I don't know if I have one. Yeah, I don't know if I have one.
Okay, I guess that's fair. Sarah?
The only one I can think of is well, no, because I don't want to spoil. I'm going to say Tank Girl because I don't want to spoil my own books.
Okay. Jessica?
I'm dating myself, but Xena, Warrior Princess. There's that overly strong woman, and yes, I know that, but yes.
Nice.
But she's got a softer side too. That's
Well, yeah, and honestly, she helped me through a really, really tough time in my life when I was going through a really ugly time with a marriage, and she reminded me to be strong. So, yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
AJ?
I would say Lena from my Nowhere books. She's fun to write. And I just love her personality.
Nice. All right, AJ. The best reason you've come up with to save a character?
Best reason I've come up with. I'm gonna go with the laziness one that I did last week because that's just I just love that I just didn't have it in me to come up with another character. So.
Awesome. Jessica?
Probably for the same reason I liked them, but also I felt like they had something more to live for. Because I always think my character's always at least a little bit alive in my head. So I'm like, well, if I save them, they get to go and have more life. That's kind of cool. Yeah, go on.
Nice. Sarah?
Because I can, I guess. That's pretty lazy.
Nice. That's
I
fun.
like that.
Yeah. Juliet?
Because it made a deeper plot. Like I was able to really take that saving of that character and create a much deeper story from that.
Nice. All right, Juliet. Series you've read or watched where more people deserve to die?
Oh my gosh. I really like Umbrella Academy, but I feel like there's definitely some people that could die in that.
Nice. Sarah?
Probably one of the horrible dating reality shows I watched in the 90s, early 2000s, like Flavor of Love. I watched all of those, and there was not nearly enough death on there. It's awful. Sorry.
All right. Jessica?
Probably more people needed to die on. Oh gosh, I have to stop and think now. Well, I want to say Walking Dead, but everybody dies on Walking Dead anyway. Just not the annoying people. See, most of the time when I'm wanting people to die, it's because I'm annoyed with them, and so I don't know. So I'll say Walking Dead, but I know that's a lame answer.
Okay. AJ?
I think more people could have died on Walking Dead. Some of those storylines were so drug out. I quit watching it because I'm just like, okay, what's happening? Nothing's happening.
Well, see, I'm even to the point where some of the producers probably need to die too because they broke faith with the viewers, and so I'm like, yeah, you guys need to just
Okay,
we're on them.
Disclaimer: we're not advocating killing real people.
No, we're not.
This is fictional.
I'm kidding.
So AJ, then series or a series you've read or watched where more people deserve to live?
Probably The Hunger Games. A lot of people got shot in those.
Okay. Jessica?
Oh gosh. I'm going to go real old school. Probably there needs to be a few less murders on Columbo, and Columbo needs a day off. That man works too much. It's like the man sleeps in his car. And I'm like, man, Frank, go home. Go hang out with Mrs. Columbo. Let her make you a meal.
Nice. Sarah?
I'm going through all the Stephen King books that end with like an entire town getting murdered.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those. Actually, it's not going to be one of those. I think it's going to be It, because like everyone who died in that destroyed me when I was a kid.
Yeah. Salem's Lot. Everybody needs to live.
I've never read it, actually.
What?
I know, and I'm a huge
Girlfriend,
Stephen
you
King
need to
fan.
do that.
I know. I have no
I'm just
excuse.
saying. Yeah.
Juliet?
Somebody's show, so I'd say anything by Mike Flanagan, because he just loves to kill off pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Really good one. Yeah. Really good one.
All right. So out of a percentage of 100, Juliet, I want you to ballpark this for me. Which way you get, like 60-40, 70-30, that kind of idea. Which way are you more likely to save than kill? So how much percentage-wise would you say you save versus killing?
I probably save 30%, kill 70%.
Sarah?
I mean, I feel like I've covered this. I save probably 80 to 90% of the time, and 10 to 20 is death.
Jessica?
It depends on what I'm writing, but generally speaking, probably 70-30.
And AJ?
About 80-20. Save most of them.
All right. Well, you all made it through 10 questions. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it.
10 questions.
Yeah, that was 10 questions. Yeah.
That was fun.
Awesome. I'm glad you all have fun. I just want to say real quickly to everybody out there, if you can drive through a tree, you can do anything. And that is the case with all of you out there. Thank you so much. And by the way, Bob Magoo made this shirt for me. So shout out to Bob Magoo.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And that's pretty awesome. He took it off of a Facebook post that I wrote about how I was disappointed in something that happened, but that this is what I realized in life, is that if you can drive through a tree, you can do anything. And that's certainly something I just hold on to. And also what I hold on to is that it's always time to go indie now. And that is always the case. And we will see you again soon, everybody. So thank you so much for joining us, everybody, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.